Welcome to All Things Poetess, and joining us to share her entrepreneurial journey is fashion designer and visionary Tori Soudan. She is the owner of Tori Soudan Shoe Collection that specializes in high-end women's footwear. She was just a little girl with a dream. Her mom taught her how to make clothes at an early age. She went on to design dresses for her classmates for prom, and now she has her own shoe collection. And celebrities such as Angela Bassett, Tamron Hall, Carrie Underwood, Zendaya, and a whole lot more are wearing her fly ass shoes. Okay. So I want to welcome to All Things Poetess, Miss Tori Soudan. Welcome.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to see you. So good to see you.
It is so good to finally meet you too. I know we've been following each other about 7 or 8 years. I've been watching you grow. You've been watching me grow. We're both female entrepreneurs, and it's just so exciting to watch your journey, Tori, with all your beautiful shoe lines, your collections coming out, and you share them so well on Instagram. And so you were inspired at an early age to design clothes. Tell us where your journey started.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where I think every child has a passion.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere along the way, they get discouraged or, they don't own it anymore. And so I was just like every other child and had a passion. Mine happened to be making clothes because my mother taught me how to sew.
Mm-hmm.
My family, a lot of my family members were what was called back then seamstresses.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were designers, but they were called seamstresses, back in the day. So, I used to make my clothes for years. And when I got to high school, I started making clothes for other people. Someone published an article in the local newspaper, and that's when things really took off. This was like my freshman year in high school, somewhere around there. So I started sewing for other people. I had this business where I would make tuxedos. I made MC Hammer pants. I made so much money off of MC Hammer pants. And it was just my passion and my dream. I really, really loved it. And I thought at that time that I would just transition right to high school
Mm-hmm.
and just have this long-standing career in design. But things, of course, didn't go that way.
Okay, so
At first.
At first, I was going to say, what? Once you were designing outfits and clothes and gowns and things like that for your friends and for money, when did you start to take it serious? When did you say, I want to have a Tori Soudan collection?
Right. Well, back then I was Tori Wright. My married name is Tori Soudan. So in high school,
Mm-hmm.
I had a label and it was called Tori Wright Originals.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I actually had a label printed and I took it seriously at that time. I really did. But towards the end of high school, when I was sitting down with my guidance counselor and making a plan for my life,
Mm-hmm.
that's when I got discouraged because it was like, okay, you want to be a designer. And, like they were just like not reassuring that I can actually make it to that career, for my life, for life. I had people that I sold for locally, but how can I scale this business? I didn't know how I could do that. How can I make it a viable career?
I was going to say, and who were your role models back then? Were there very many Black designers when you were thinking of doing this in high school?
Felicia, that's really the thing, and that's why I mentioned that a lot of Black seamstresses were called seamstresses because in my mind, I didn't have examples of designers that had that title, that had that, full career, that full acknowledged career of being a designer. So I didn't think it was possible for me. It was interesting because My mother is a certified tailor. My grandmother and great grandmother all made clothes from scratch, which means they designed, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I never saw a Black designer that was recognized, who I could like look to and say, oh, I could be that one day. That, and then it was just really difficult at that time. There was no internet. It was hard to break into the fashion business, and it was just not the right time. I felt that it was not the right time. I was just like any young girl at
Mm-hmm.
the time with, not fully confident about her ability to achieve a goal. That's who I was. And so I decided to go to Spelman instead, which happened to be a wonderful decision. I don't regret that at all. But I went to Spelman looking to find another career that I
Mm.
could incorporate into my life.
Okay.
And it just so happened that I had a roommate who wanted to run for the Miss Maroon and White pageant, which is the big pageant at Morehouse and Spelman,
Mm-hmm.
and she needed a dress. And so I actually had let that life go. I didn't tell anybody that I made clothes, but I happened to make her dress. And after seeing her wear the dress on stage, that just kind of made me revisit the idea that I could become a designer. And there was just something about that experience, seeing one of my creations elevated and being on stage, that I decided that I would go that path again. And then I decided to take some time away from Spelman and
Mm-hmm.
study abroad. I spent some time in Paris.
Okay. Yeah.
Took a
That.
trip to.
Oh no,
Mhm.
I don't mean to cut you off, but that is my next question, and that is, you were inspired to design your shoes after you mentioned studying abroad, seeing a demonstration by a master shoemaker. What was it in that moment that sparked you to pursue your dream of having your own shoe brand?
It was just the Italian footwear industry is really special because for me, I made the transition between thinking of shoes as just an accessory that went along with a dress, an afterthought that just accompanied another piece of clothing, to really being like it could be the focal point.
Mm-hmm.
Italians, they really have a lot of skill in making shoes. And they have been making shoes. A lot of them have been making shoes for generations. They take it so seriously. And there's so many people that specialize in different parts of the shoe. I was just fascinated.
Mm-hmm. So, you were once also an intern for Tommy Hilfiger. Is that
Yes.
correct? And what
Yes.
did you learn under his tutelage, and how important is it for an aspiring professional to take on an internship? A lot of people think nowadays they want to get paid. They don't want to be working. Really, it's not working for free. You're really getting educated and getting some experience in whatever field you're choosing. But what did you learn under Tommy Hilfiger, and how important is an internship?
Yeah. Well, I think people that aspire to do anything should take as many opportunities that they can to just learn, to just be a student of their product or whatever company they're looking to create. So what I did when I was at Spelman is I interned. Tommy Hilfiger had a showroom in Atlanta, and I interned at that showroom. So what I did is I showed the samples to buyers in the southern region, like your Rich's department store, boutiques in the south. I showed them the samples and sold them to them, and then also worked on their reorders. So that experience taught me how buyers make purchases. That was just interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as an intern, I saw everything that Tommy Hilfiger had to offer each season. And then I would also see what the buyers selected. And then the rest of it, the public never saw.
Mm.
And so it just gave me an understanding of how retail works and how there's sort of like a gatekeeper, an intermediary between the customer and the designer. And so I knew that when I started my brand, I wanted to build a direct to consumer relationship where I could sell directly to the customer
Hmm.
so that they can make decisions on which of my styles will, be available.
Okay, so you started your 10 years now, Tori Soudan Collection. Congratulations. Uh,
Thank you.
what were some of the steps you took to prepare to start your company? Like, first, everything starts really as a thought, but what were some of the steps after you decided that this was what you were going to do?
Yeah, the way I just operate in life is anything that I just do a ton of research. I want to know like so much about it. So the first thing that I did is I took a shoemaking course
Mm.
because I wanted to understand how to make shoes, what's inside of the shoe. I researched what is the difference between a well-made shoe and an average shoe. Why do different shoes cost, have different prices, etc. So I took a shoemaking class and then I went back and forth to Italy for a number of years. I actually started this research in 2009. So I took the shoemaking course and did all my research for 2 years before I actually launched my brand.
The process of doing your shoes. You studied in Italy, but do you actually sketch out the designs, or you have a design in your head and you kind of communicate that with the shoemaker, or what's your creative process?
I sketch my designs. I sketch all of my designs and then I send them to my factory and they make the first sample and then I make changes, of the sample. What I normally do is scan the sample into the computer and draw the edits over the shoe and send them back. And then I get a final sample and then I go into production.
What are some of the challenges you faced in the beginning versus some of the challenges you face now?
Wow. The biggest challenge for me was actually the way I process failure, to be quite honest.
Mm.
You know, when you go into a business like this, you just can't know everything. And so even like the smallest failures, I just thought, oh, I was just kind of like really defeated at times. But I just gave myself some grace. I started to give myself some grace along the way and to understand that that's a part of the process,
Hmm.
to make mistakes and you got to come back from it. You learn from it. And that's what you need. Those are the things that you need to know in order to build a business and in order to have the knowledge that you need to build a strong business. And so I didn't realize that at first. It was just a lot in the beginning to figure a lot of things out. Because I didn't have a mentor in the shoe industry, I figured it all out myself,
Mm.
going back and forth to Italy, networking with people that own factories, tanneries, whoever was in the shoe industry. I networked with them and asked questions and just learned.
What are some of your personal mantras to yourself to keep you motivated and keep you encouraged?
Yeah, what keeps me encouraged is a lot of people when they go into business, they look to be an overnight success. And so if you look to be an overnight success, then it's just gonna mess with you. So what I decided to do was to celebrate the small accomplishments. I wanted this year to be better than last year, today to be better than yesterday, this month to be better than last month, and to really take an inventory of those small achievements and accomplishments. And that really kept me going, because as I celebrated those little accomplishments, now I've been in the business for 10 years. And so when I look back at the beginning versus now, I can definitely see how, I've grown this brand. So I think that that's really important, just to look at those small incremental accomplishments.
What advice would you give to people not only starting their own business, but you're in a business that's really hard to break through because a lot of people are designing clothes. I don't really hear too much about shoemakers. I think Black folks should really be trying to and also invest in shoes and sneakers as much as we buy those items. But what did it take for you to actually break through? Was there a pivotal moment? Was there an artist that maybe endorsed your shoe or wore your shoe? What was it that made you break through? Because you're still around 10 years later, and now you have magazine covers, people wearing your shoes, all types of celebrities wearing your shoes. So what was that moment where you felt like, okay, I am finally getting there?
That moment for me was actually when I connected to my factory. When I had a few factories that I tested out in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And because of my research and going back and forth, I understand how difficult it is to connect with an Italian factory, in the right factory. And so I ended up landing a relationship with a factory that also makes a lot of luxury brands, very well-known luxury brands. And it's a really just amazing factory. And when they said, yes, we will make your collection, I just said, okay, this is it. It's happening. I felt like the universe, God brings things together like at the right moment.
Yes.
And I felt like as I looked back and saw how I was first introduced to shoes in Venice when I was a teenager, and then full circle, now I have this amazing factory that is, connected to where I first discovered shoes, and it's amazing. I said, this is my break. And then just the celebrities were just amazing along the way. It's still amazing how things happen. Someone will contact me and I'm just like, wow, you want to wear my shoes? It's just such an honor.
And the thing about your shoes, and I wish I had a picture. I had them. I thought I had them here at the studio with me to show today, but I left them at home. But they're high heels, but they were comfortable. I could wear them. I could walk in them. There's high heels. I can't really walk in high heel shoes anymore. So what do you do for the woman like me who likes the look of high heels, but maybe have a little hard time being comfortable in them?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I spent a lot of time researching. Why are some high heels uncomfortable and some not? And I definitely wanted my shoes to be comfortable. And so as a woman who also wears my product, I could test them out, and I just wanted to know for sure that they were comfortable. So I worked with my factory over time to develop a fit that I just established for my brand and that my customer can count on. Every 4-inch heel height shoe does not feel the same.
Yes.
And there's a lot of things that customers just don't realize when it comes to high heels. They're not all made in the same way. They're not all made in the same leather, if they are leather, mm-hmm. and they're not made from the same kind of leather. And all of that makes a huge difference.
Yes. So I will attest that your shoes are comfortable. I have a pair of my own, and thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for seeing me so early in my career.
Yes.
I really felt like you saw me as, working on this brand, and you were so encouraging, and that just was so meaningful to me.
Yes,
So
I
thank
mean,
you.
I was really impressed. I mean, why wouldn't I like support you? I mean, that's just a wonderful thing to have a sister designing her own shoes. And now you have bags as well. And are you planning to expand your collection to maybe clothes, other items?
Well, I'm building a brand, so nothing's off limits.
Okay.
And I'm so excited about introducing a few more categories this year. But I
Okay.
did introduce handbags recently, and I'm just enjoying designing everything.
You know what popped in my head, and you might even already have this on your thing, but some hats. Whew.
Oh, that's interesting.
Some hats to go with them shoes. Now, yeah,
Hmm.
so that just popped in. I said that would be a nice little fashion accessory because we women like to wear hats too.
Right.
Okay, so one other thing, what advice would you give to young people trying to break into the fashion industry, designing their own clothes? What should I know you said that you did your research. You've done internships. So what other type of advice would you give people who are interested in getting into designing their own shoes?
Well, I would first tell them if they're interested, this is the moment. There are a lot of resources that are becoming available for people that are interested in designing shoes, clothes, and every other thing, specifically if they're Black. And so I would encourage them to Google programs, and, there are high school programs, there are college level programs that I see, just Google it. And then also what I did that really helped is a lot of the fashion schools have summer programs for high school students.
Hmm.
So go to a summer program. The one that I went to, it wasn't like a watered down program where you really weren't exposed to the industry. It was a good program where I really was immersed in fashion for a summer. So I would encourage them to do that. But I would definitely um, tell them that you can definitely do it. There's so many things that are lined up right now, and now's a good time.
Yes, and how do you deal with people who are naysayers? Because I'll have to say, I dealt with a lot of naysayers on my entrepreneurial journey. I have millionaire friends that I was trying to get to invest and all of that. But what do you do or say to people who get the no's? They feel like everything is a no, but that yes is
Yeah,
out there.
right. You are so right about that. You know, I, No's don't even bother me anymore. That's one thing that I can see how I've grown. Like, I feel like if the opportunity is there, I'm going to try now, and I'm okay with a no. But what I'm not okay with is not trying.
Hmm.
If an opportunity is right there and
Yes.
I don't even try, I get so mad at myself.
Yes.
But in the beginning, and not even that long ago, you're right. It's hard a lot of times. When you try so hard and people don't really support you
Or
in
see
the
your
way
vision. They
or
don't.
see your vision.
Right.
Right, right. And so that is really, really hard. But one thing that I think is that if you're really passionate about something, that you'll get through that. You'll
Yes.
get through that. It's almost like it's a little test of, do you really want it?
Yes.
Because if you do it in spite of, that means that you're really passionate about it, because it's not easy. I don't care what it is that you do. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be gravy. You're going to have some days where you feel like you're all alone. People don't
Yes.
support you. You're
Yes.
not having a good business day. If you're selling something, sales are down. Things happen that you can't even control. When you're
Hmm.
selling a product, you have to deal with the economy and how people are feeling, and whether or not there's a stimulus check or
Yeah.
not, and all these other things that impact people wanting to buy something.
Yes. I mean, it's a lot. That's why I say being an entrepreneur is definitely not for the weak. It's a commitment. And you're married. I don't know if you have children or not, but how are you able to balance your personal and your business life, professional life?
It's funny you asked that. I share my journey and my experiences with my children, with my family. Just before I got on this call, I had my son working for me. He's trying to make some money to buy something that he wants to buy. So
Okay.
he's like, "What can I help you with?" And I talk to them about my designs. What do you think about this? And I walk them through the process, and they're just really excited about it. My daughter, she just was besides herself when she saw my shoes on Zendaya.
Oh my goodness. Oh, mom got
She,
points for that.
I got some cool points for real. So I was really shocked because I mean she was one that really was just like, oh, mommy's always doing something with shoes, but not really interested
Mm.
until Zendaya wore 'em.
Oh my
So
goodness. Now, are you in touch with like a lot of the stylists and people like that who dress celebrities? Is that important to establish maybe a relationships with fashion? What do they call them? Stylists.
yeah, definitely. I do work with stylists, and that has been, a really good thing for my business is to
Mm-hmm.
work with them. Just connecting with people in all aspects of the fashion industry, because it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, let everybody know where they can follow you, where they can see more of your designs. We showed a few as we were talking, but where can people learn more about your collection?
Well, they can follow me on Instagram at Tori Soudan, or go to my website, which is torisudan.com.
Okay. Okay, Tori, I am so excited to finally meet you, and I wish you the best success in your brand and all your endeavors. So, thank you for joining us at All Things Poetess.
And thank you so much. And I wish you the absolute best as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day and hang on the line.